At the close of the 1st century BCE, Emperor Augustus had defeated his final rivals, absorbed Egypt into his empire, and commanded the most formidable military machine on earth. Rome expected total submission from its borderlands, but beyond the southern edge of Roman territory, Augustus met a ruler who refused to pay tribute. She marched an army north, sacked his imperial garrisons, and returned home carrying a piece of the emperor himself as a trophy of war. She took this bronze, hollow-eyed head of Augustus and buried it deep beneath the stone threshold of her temple. From that day on, every citizen who walked through those sacred doors had to step directly on the face of Rome's master. This defiance originated hundreds of miles south of Egypt, along the Great Bend of the Nile and the sweeping Sahelian grasslands. This was the Empire of Kush. For centuries, Western historians viewed the ancient world through a strictly Greco-Roman and Egyptian lens. But that bronze head buried in the sand proves the existence of a highly organized, fiercely independent African superpower that commanded global respect. Early 20th century archaeologists often categorized the ruins of Meroë as a southern derivative of Egyptian culture. This interpretation overlooked a significant divergence in how the Kushite state actually functioned. While Rome and Egypt typically handed power from father to son, Kushite succession was strictly matrilineal. The right to rule did not pass through a king's offspring, but through his sister. Known as the Kandakes, the queen mother served as the primary arbiter of the royal succession. Because the next king's right to rule was inherited exclusively through her bloodline, she occupied a political station equal to, and at times transcending, the reigning monarch. For generations, a conservative priesthood still held immense sway, sometimes even ordering monarchs to commit ritual suicide. That ended around 280 BCE, when King Archaeamani I marched his soldiers into the temple and slaughtered the priests, destroying their political leverage forever. With the priesthood eliminated, Kush severed its remaining traditional ties to Egyptian governance. The Kandakes no longer had to operate from the shadows as influential queen mothers. They could now rule openly as absolute, independent monarchs. By 170 BCE, Shanakdakhete stepped forward to rule Kush completely in her own right. She did not rule as a regent for a young son. She claimed the sacred titles of a pharaoh, directing both the military and the state religion. To project this total authority, she initiated a sweeping cultural reform. Under her command, Kushite scribes entirely abandoned the Egyptian hieroglyphs they had used for centuries and invented a native African writing system. This new Meroitic script replaced stacked pictorial symbols with elegant cursive characters. Scribes wrote horizontally from right from left, using neat vertical dots to separate individual words. Modern linguists have successfully deciphered the 23 phonetic signs of this alphabet. We can read the syllables out loud, but the vocabulary and grammar belong to an isolated language family. We can pronounce the decrees carved into the stone, but we cannot translate what they mean. Shanakdakhete established a distinct record of Kushite diplomacy and royal lineage. While the characters are legible, the specific vocabulary of these histories remains untranslated, keeping the details of her reign inaccessible to modern scholarship. While their language remains locked away, the historical impact of the Kandakes is well documented by their enemies. In 31 BCE, Roman legions occupied Egypt and began pushing their garrisons south, directly threatening the rich gold mines of Kushite territory. Queen Amanirenas did not wait for an invasion. She launched a massive preemptive strike, leading 30,000 archers across the border. Her forces burned Roman outposts to the ground, capturing Aswan and Philae, forcing Augustus Caesar to negotiate a peace treaty on highly favorable terms. Rome withdrew its troops and canceled all demands for tribute. This military triumph secured 3 centuries of uninterrupted sovereignty for Kush, fueling a massive commercial boom. By the reign of Queen Amanirenas, the royal treasury was overflowing with solid gold. That staggering wealth eventually caught the attention of a ruthless Italian treasure hunter named Giuseppe Ferlini. In 1834, Ferlini arrived in Meroë and used heavy kegs of gunpowder to systematically blow the tops off the ancient pyramids, plundering the royal tombs. Ferlini carried a massive cache of stolen Meroitic jewelry back to Europe. When he tried to sell it to museums, the curators rejected him. Operating under racist 19th century assumptions, they flatly refused to believe Black African artisans possessed the metallurgical skill to create such intricate, master-level goldsmithing. By forcing a full Roman withdrawal and securing her borders, Amanirenas ensured these legendary gold reserves remained under Kushite control for the next 3 centuries. Yet this same abundance later drew 19th century looters who viewed the empire's history through a much different lens. Despite the looting, the sheer scale of Meroë's architecture survived. During the 1st century CE, Queen Amanirenas funded a sweeping construction renaissance. She rebuilt massive temple complexes, blending Egyptian, Hellenistic, and Roman design elements into a distinct, unified Kushite style. Her monuments leave no ambiguity about her authority. On the towering sandstone walls of the Lion Temple at Naka, Amanitore is carved as a giant, imposing figure, actively smiting her enemies with a sword, projecting exact military parity with her male co-ruler. To sustain their growing urban centers away from the Nile floodplain, Amanitore's engineers constructed hafirs, colossal stone-lined reservoirs that captured seasonal monsoon rains, creating artificial agricultural oases in the dry steppe. But the empire was pushing against a hard ecological ceiling. Meroë's economy relied heavily on mass iron production. To feed the roaring smelting furnaces day and night, the Kushites had to systematically chop down millions of acacia trees for charcoal. The resulting deforestation was devastating. Today, researchers are placing ancient human teeth recovered from Meroitic cemeteries into mass spectrometers, using stable isotope analysis to pinpoint exactly how the environment collapsed. This chart visualizes carbon and oxygen isotope levels over time. As we approach the end of the empire, the data reveals a sharp spike. The region experienced a sudden, cataclysmic shift toward hyper-arid desertification. Without the forests to anchor the soil, the pasture lands turned to dust, choking the great agricultural reservoirs. As the rains failed, the iron furnaces went cold. The centralized Kushite state was not dismantled by foreign invaders. It suffocated under the environmental weight of its own relentless industrial engine. By the time the rival Aksumite army marched down from the Ethiopian highlands to invade in 330 CE, they found a fractured, starving territory. Within a few decades, Meroë was completely abandoned to the desert. For decades, the true narrative of Kush was buried under sand and colonial prejudice. Today, modern multidisciplinary forensics are bypassing the biased journals of early explorers to extract the truth directly from the physical remains. The architecture of these steep pyramids reflects a society that integrated foreign aesthetics while maintaining a distinct local identity. These structures were built for a ruling class of women who commanded international trade and independently managed the resources of the Middle Nile. The Kandakes built an empire of iron, gold, and stone that commanded the respect of the ancient world. As modern science continues to translate the silence of the desert, their legacy proves that the greatest chapters of human history can never remain buried.